I had a home birth. It was awesome, and I want to share the story with you. This was my second baby, and after my first hospital birth, it kind of wasn't even a question. I just knew that I was gonna stay home. Hello, my name is Maria. I'm a Lamaze-Certified childbirth educator and owner of the app Natural Birth by Echo, a free resource with all of the tips and tricks you need to make your unmedicated birth a positive one. So I wanted a home birth. I was studying for the Lamaze exam during my pregnancy, and I came across a study showing that low-risk mothers and babies are safer at home. They breastfeed more easily, they have better bonding, less interventions, and being a low-risk mother, I was like, well, that confirms it, we're staying home. And our little boy was born on a Friday, but my birth story really begins on Thursday. So it's Thursday. Labor hadn't started yet, but I was getting some really strong clues. And if you're wondering what signs to look out for, check out this video right here. So I wake up Thursday morning running to the bathroom. Usually I am very regular. This is a little bit TMI. I'm a very regular person, but not this morning. And that's when I was like, oh, I'm having a baby this weekend. I then caught sight of the baseboards in our bathroom, and keep in mind, we've just moved. This house is a new build, so there's hardly a speck of dust. But no, I see those baseboards and I need to scrub. So I spend all Thursday extracting every microscopic speck of dust. Basically, I'm nesting. I set up all my little birth tools in our home office, which at this point is the makeshift birth room right now. I've got my fuzzy socks, I've got a labor comb, massage tools, prayer cards, everything is ready to go. It's all looking cute. Later, I do my spinning babies, I go on my 30-minute walk, and during that walk, I just feel different. I could feel my baby moving lower. I'm having lightning crotch like crazy, and I go to bed at around 10 p.m. and Sam, my husband, bless him, he took Josephine and he slept on the living room couch so I could get a full night's rest. And nobody ended up getting a full night's rest that night, because I'm not even kidding. At the stroke of midnight on my due date, I am woken up by a contraction. And I do exactly what you're supposed to do. I ignore it and I go back to sleep, but not 10 minutes later, I get another one. And this is where I got in my head a little bit, because I do not handle sleep deprivation well, and as a childbirth educator, I know you have to enter labor well rested. And here I am feeling definite contractions after just 2 hours of sleep. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? So I call Sam on the phone because I don't want to get out of bed. And I'm like, hey babe, I need emotional support. And he is so good. He comes in, he lays down next to me, and he listens, he reassures me. And within 5 minutes, my confidence is back, and we call the midwife, and I'm like, I'm apologizing to her on the phone. Hey, sorry to bother you. I'm having contractions. And at this point, I do kind of feel bad for bothering her in the middle of the night, because these surges were quite light. I could talk through them. They were still 10 minutes apart. And she tells me, try and get some rest, and we'll see how things develop. And I did try, but of course at this point I'm like, woohoo, I'm in labor and I'm too excited to sleep. So I get up, I have a snack, I hydrate with my baking soda labor cocktail, which y'all, it's highly effective, by the way. The recipe is in the Echo Natural Birth Course workbook, so check it out. My sister comes by and picks up Josephine at like 2 a.m., bless her heart. Sam is in the office setting up my little twinkle lights, because I need my birth space to look cute. And I shoot a text to my doula. My doula is also pregnant, and our due dates were really close, but she always goes late, and I loved having her at Josephine's birth, so I really, really wanted her at my home birth too. A few minutes later, my doula responds with a picture of her newborn. Adorable baby boy, and she says, sorry, my baby came just a few hours ago. And of course, I'm super happy for her, but selfishly, I'm also like, oh, I really wanted you to be here. So now I don't have a doula, but it's okay because I've got Sam. I'm moving around, eating my labor snacks, and whenever I stand up, contractions close to like 4 or 5 minutes apart. I'm breathing, I'm swaying through them, and at this point, nothing is even remotely painful. It's just a tightening in my belly, followed by a nice little break. And yes, they were only 4 or 5 minutes apart, but they were pretty light, and it did not feel like active labor at all. I peep into the office again, and Sam has the birth room set up beautifully. The tub is ready to go, and then that's when I start getting really tired. It's around 4 a.m. at this point. I'm still having contractions, but the excitement has kind of died down, and I want to sleep. So we go back to bed to see if we can get any rest whatsoever that night. My head hits the pillow, and I pray, please just let me get some sleep before I do this thing. And I don't know what happened, but that prayer was answered, because the next thing I know, I hear birds chirping and there's sunlight coming in through the windows. I don't know if labor stopped or what, because I got a solid couple of hours and I felt great. It's about 8:30 a.m. now, and contractions they're 10 minutes apart again, but I can't rest through these. They're more intense, but I can still talk through them. And I know that the minute I stand up, they're gonna be much closer together and I will be in active labor. I just knew it. So I let Sam sleep a little bit longer while, I'm laying next to him, hyping myself up. I'm ready, I've got this. 9 a.m. rolls around and whammo bammo. The minute I stand up, they are 3 minutes apart. I go into the kitchen and I begin my pre-prepared early labor activity. I set up coffee for the birth team. I'm gonna make breakfast muffins. I've got protein bars. Contractions are coming pretty quickly at this point, so I grab the coffee, I pause for a contraction, I pull out the French press, I pause for a contraction, and I'll just jump ahead and say that I never actually finished my early labor activity. That wasn't the point. The point was to distract myself with something light, something easy, active, kind of fun. Sam and I are in the kitchen making jokes. He's reminding me to drink my electrolyte water, and at some point in the middle of all of this, I'm like, oh wait, I need to eat. So I throw some yogurt and berries together and I'm at the dining room table getting my little spoonfuls in. I don't have much of an appetite when all of a sudden I feel an intense contraction coming on and I'm like, I need to be on my hands and knees. So I get on the floor and I rock my way through that next contraction. I leaned against the chair at some point and I'm just hanging out here. They're pretty intense, but I'm using my coping methods. I'm breathing, I'm swaying, and it's so manageable. And of course, I forget to hydrate. Everybody forgets to hydrate, but luckily I have the best husband in the world and he's coming by every 15 minutes with my little labor aid concoction. There's still something he was tweaking with the birth pool at this point, which is why he wasn't right there with me the entire time. And it's about 10:30 a.m. now. I get on the phone with my midwife and I tell her, it's just not that bad. I don't want you to come here and waste your time. I'm on speaker and Sam chimes in from across the room. They're 3 minutes apart. And my midwife says, okay, let's wait an hour, see how we feel. And I get off the phone and I start feeling some pelvic pressure, kind of like you need to have a bowel movement. So I make my way to the bathroom. I do some toilet sitting and I quickly realize that, oh, that pressure, that's my baby. I'm not ready to push yet or anything, but I do feel some definite downward tension. So I decide to hang out on the toilet to allow my pelvic floor to open and relax. Sam comes by and supports me through a few contractions, and then he's off again trying to finagle the birth pool still, which honestly, it's more trouble than it's worth at this point. Next birth, I'm just gonna go into the shower. I eventually make my way back to the dining room to finish my yogurt, but I have zero appetite. Once again, I'm down on the dining room floor. I'm leaning my head against a chair, and I just stay there. I'm quiet as a mouse. I'm using my breathing tricks. I'm doing gentle little movements to help the baby down. It's around 11 a.m. now when I hear my midwife in the living room whispering to Sam, where is she? Is she in the bedroom? And I can feel Sam pointing to the dining room floor. That's just where she ended up. And side note, my midwife did tell me, call me in an hour, but after our conversation, she said she just had a feeling that this baby was gonna come fast. So she came by anyway, which was really good intuition on her part. She leaned over me and she was so quiet. She checked my baby's heartbeat with a Doppler. Everything looked good. And at this point, I'm getting really sick and I knew I was gonna vomit. And the nearest thing is the dog bowl on the ground next to me. So I start reaching for it, but luckily, somebody, I don't even know who, got me a trash can just in time. And I'm thinking, vomiting is a sign of transition. But this isn't transition. This is way too easy to be transition. Sam even asked me, how much pain are you in? And I smiled at him and I said, oh, none. And he kind of rolled his eyes a little bit and he said, okay, how intense is it? And I was like, oh, intensity, 8 out of 10. And at this point, it is very intense. But again, the intensity is not remotely close to the pain I experienced at the hospital with my first. And looking back, I was in transition at this point, which is typically the most difficult and painful part of birth. And here I was telling my husband, there's no pain whatsoever. I just felt so calm. My coping tools were working so well. And this is a shameless plug for the Echo Natural Birth course, but really, if you want to cope with labor like an absolute champ, this is the course to take. I consider myself somewhat of a pain management connoisseur at this point, and all of my hard-earned research as well as personal experience is yours, and I will link that below. Okay, back to transition. I suddenly really wanted darkness, and I'm still trying to convince myself I'm not in real labor, which is why I didn't just go straight to the birth tub, because in my mind, the birth tub is for birth. So as long as I'm not there, I'm not really giving birth right now. It's a simple little mental game, but it really works for me. So I moved into my bedroom where we have blackout curtains, and not 2 contractions later, I get a powerful, irresistible urge to push. And at this point, I get really, really vocal. And it's funny because if you're listening to me, you'd assume, oh wow, she's in a lot of pain right now. She's really yelling. And while that pushing sensation, it's not pleasant, it's not necessarily painful either. It's just a lot of hard work. Like I'm lifting like the heaviest weight in the entire world, and I'm grunting and yelling to get it up. I mean, bodybuilders yell in competition. I think it's just a natural response to effort, and birth is effort. So I'm grunting and making noise because that's what feels right to me. And I'm so focused that I need to be reminded, oh, there's a birth pool waiting for me, and I can go to that now. Transition is over, and everyone around me is so quiet. They're whispering, they're tiptoeing around me, they're giving me space, and I waddle into the office, and Sam has these beautiful twinkle lights set up. The pool is filled with fresh, clear, soothing water, and the first thing I do is rip the lights out of the outlet, and I say, I need darkness. So my birth video was ruined. It was too dark to see a thing. I get in the pool, and this is my first water birth. I'd heard nothing but amazing things about how soothing and relaxing the water is, and it didn't make any difference. I didn't learn until later that you actually need about 20 to 30 minutes in the water for it to become an effective analgesic. So for starters, I wasn't in there long enough yet. I also started shaking, and that can be a sign of transition, but I was way past transition. I was pushing. No, it was because the water was freezing, but I'm so focused on pushing a baby out that I didn't notice the freezing cold water was making me shiver. So Sam jumps up to get the hose hooked up to the water heater, and he cracks the door for a split second, and that bright afternoon light pours in, and I'm like, Sam! And I'm so mad that my darkness is disturbed and that my focus is broken, but are you really in labor if you don't tell at least one person to shove it? So the water gets warmed up, and I'm able to relax a little bit better. I'm on all fours, and I can feel my baby moving down the birth canal, and it was awesome. Obviously super intense and pretty uncomfortable at this point, but at the same time, I'm like, heck yeah, look at me go. I'm giving birth. It was empowering. And I know that that's the birth buzzword, but seriously, it was so empowering. So I'm pushing, and my midwife whispers, Maria, slow down, breathe. There's no rush. She sees that I'm going so fast, I'm gonna give myself internal tearing. And this is why you really want a good birth team, because you can know all of the information. I am literally a natural childbirth educator. I know you need to slow down. And yet, when I'm in the thick of it, all my knowledge goes out the window, and I'm like, I want the baby out now. So I slow down, I take breaths, all the things. And at this point, Sam, for the life of me, I don't know what he's doing. He is hearing his wife yelling, and he's doing the husband thing and just looking around for something to fix. Fortunately, my midwife, bless that woman, she pulls him aside and says, this baby is close. If you want to be there for the birth of your son, go be with your wife right now. So finally, he's in there with me, and everything becomes so much easier when he's there. I'm able to relax better. I breathe more easily. He knows all the right things to say. I actually really could have used his support starting like an hour ago, but we didn't think I was very far along because I was coping so well with labor, and he also had to set everything up. So it just didn't happen, but trust me, for the next baby, he has very strict instructions. So I'm pushing, I'm doing my thing. I feel the baby make 2 steps forward, 1 back, and then I feel him crowning. I get the ring of fire, and it starts getting actually painful. And just a little bit of backstory, the reason it's hurting more than it should is because when I had Josephine at the hospital, I told them I do not consent to an episiotomy, do not give me an episiotomy. However, when I was pushing, my doula saw the obstetrician take out her knife and cut me. After it was all over, the obstetrician said, "Oh, I've got to stitch you back up." And I was like, "Stitches? Really? Did I tear with a 3-pound baby? How is that even possible?" And she was like, "Yep, you tore." My doula later told me, "You did not tear. I watched her cut you," and then lie about it afterwards. So this is relevant because an episiotomy does not heal itself back to normal. The tissue is never going to be as strong or as flexible as it was. So in every subsequent birth, that cut is very likely to rip open instead of stretch like it's designed to. So I don't know if I'll ever be able to have a completely pain-free birth because of that obstetrician. So back to my home birth, I'm actually feeling pain now because my episiotomy scar is reopening and I'm a little bit done. I say a prayer, please let all of this be over in the next 5 minutes. And y'all, not 5 minutes later, I'm not even kidding, I give maybe 2 more pushes and then I say, "Something just came out of me." And my midwife asks, "Is that your water breaking?" And I say, "No, it's my baby." And I scoop up this tiny little boy. He is here. The cord is so short, so I can't pull him up all the way. It's completely dark, remember? So it takes a second for us to notice that the cord is wrapped all the way around his neck. And Sam starts freaking out. The cord is around his neck, and he's panicking a little bit. And then in unison, my midwife, me, the birth assistant, we're all like, "It's fine. It's not an emergency. He's getting oxygen." And at this point, somebody turns the lights on and I get to see him for the first time. And he's so handsome. That's the first thing I say. "Oh my gosh, you're so handsome." And the midwife asks, "So what's his name?" And I turn to Sam and I'm like, "What's his name, Dad?" Because we'd been going back and forth. There were a couple names I liked, but Sam's so picky. I told him, "Here's the list, choose one." But ultimately, we decided on Kolbe after Maximilian Kolbe, our Polish hero of World War II, not after the cheese, as everyone mistakenly thinks. So I then stand up. I'm still holding Kolbe, and my midwife says, "Okay, watch out for the cord. Your placenta is on the floor." It just fell right out as soon as I was up. So they helped me to my bed where we have a beautiful golden hour. Kolbe latches immediately, more like lunges. He lunged for the nipple. He skipped like 8 of the 9 breast crawl steps. He is a boy who likes to eat. I mean, look at these thighs. And I couldn't believe it was over. It was honestly my dream birth experience. It was so powerful. It was healing. The only thing I'm gonna do differently for future babies is make sure that Sam is there with me throughout active labor instead of the last 20 minutes. We're gonna have everything set up long beforehand, so there's no rushing around right when I need him to be there. And it's kind of funny because Kolbe was born on my brother's birthday and Josephine was born on Sam's brother's birthday. So we need to start getting more creative with birthdays instead of usurping somebody else's. And yes, we plan to have 1 million kids, and I honestly cannot wait to be pregnant and do all of this over again. And if you want to love your birth experience as well, hit that subscribe button so you can get all of my evidence-based, highly effective tips for an awesome pregnancy, birth, and postpartum experience, and I will see you next time.